back to Coaches at Crown Brew Getting Coffee. I'm Kerry Martin, and I've got a special group of ladies we're going to talk to today about a really special event. And I want to welcome you. I want to welcome all of those who've asked about when are we starting season 2, and we're starting it today. And I just want to say thank you to Ross and Abby for being here, Swinford Media for all they do to make this happen. Thank you for Crown Brew for giving us this facility to film this in and to have the audio come from here. And I want to thank Adrenaline Fundraising. My guys at Adrenaline are the best when it comes to raising money at the high school, junior high level, college level. If you need to raise money for your program, see my guys at Adrenaline and they'll take care of you. Jeff Scott and Ryan are great to work with and they'll make the job really easy. I want to welcome these 4 ladies to my show. And again, this is a chance today to talk about something I think most people in this area know something about. They either know about what we do here in Marion or they do their own in their neighboring town. But we may have some people listening in and watching who may not be familiar with what a pink out is. So before I get to that, we're going to introduce the ladies here first, and we're going to start with Holly Boyd. Holly, tell us a little something about yourself and our relationship and how we know each other.
Okay. Born and raised right here in Marion, Illinois, attended the Marion Unit 2 school districts, worked at the high school from 2002 to 2017, and got to know Coach Martin from that, and Tiff, and working out there, and love this area, love the community, and that's why this has been such a big success.
Well, you were such a blessing at the school, and I thought about some cool memories we had. First of all, 2 amazing daughters, Hannah and Grace, were students of mine. What a blessing. Loved them both. You once got me a shirt that said if dance was any tougher, they'd call it football.
Yes.
And you could.
And you wore it.
And I did wear it. I wouldn't do that for many people. I did it for you. I took some heat from the team for that, the football team. And also, remember when we got into peanut butter Pop-Tarts?
Yes, I told somebody that the other day.
And we ended up putting Nutella on them, and then they quit making them. And I'm like,
couldn't find
it's the
them.
best thing ever.
I love football season, but I was glad it was over because then your prep hour changed and you could come eat with us.
I come down and eat peanut butter Pop-Tarts. So good. I look forward to my prep. Your husband, Mike, one of the best dudes in the world, a first responder, classy guy, and I know now, based on what you're wearing, you're really proud to be
a Mimi.
A
first-time Mimi to a absolutely perfect 2-year-old daughter, a girl. Oh, that's a Freudian slip there. I think she's my daughter. Granddaughter.
Yeah. Well, thank you for being here. And you're going to talk about the early days of putting this pink out together. So appreciate that. Joni Manfredo.
Yes, sir.
Tell us a little something about yourself.
Well, most people know me through Marty. You're Marty's wife. I was raised in Goreville, so I'm not a Marionite, but I consider myself a Marionite because I've been here 35 years. So, or almost. Both kids went through the school. Both had you. RJ played football for you.
Yep.
Alex had you. I remember her senior year. I had to come out. She was crying because her dad made her cry. She wanted to go to Milliken, a private school, which was a lot of money, and he said no. He kept singing the Johnny Logan song to her. And so she called me crying, and she was in your class, and I had to come out, and I hear my phone rang, and it was Marty. He said, don't come out here. Too late, I'm in the parking lot.
Yeah.
But yes, love Marion. I still love Goreville, though. I do have some roots there. But I do bleed the blue and gold and pink once a year.
Yeah. Well, thank you. And we get to the role you're playing kind of in the new age of this pink out. And RJ was a great player for me. He was a student of mine. He was he's now a coach and a teacher. Yeah. And I get to see him at practice and I get to watch him do that. He's also got a great sense of humor. Yes, and Alex is a great singer, amazing voice. Yeah. And she was a part of one of the best global studies classes I ever had. We had more fun than we should have been having. And I remember that class her sophomore year. It was really cool. Next on the list is Kristi Gooch. Kristi, a little something about yourself.
Born and raised in Marion also. I work for Williamson County Special Ed. I work in Marion currently at the junior high in Lincoln. I've done that for the last 15 years. Both of my kids went through Marion. My son played football for you. My daughter had you in class. And I've been helping with the Gal for the last 12 years, I think.
And you played a role that I think they made me aware of, because quietly, typical you behind the scenes, I didn't know all the things you were doing, and they said, no, she's got to be on here. So I'm glad you're here. Your kids are amazing, smart, talented, and Mason was part of a really special team of mine. And you know, we lost a really good player that he replaced, and boy, I'll never forget him stepping into that role and just going with it. And great family, and your husband's a great dude as well. Marty's a great dude. No matter what you say, Marty is one of the best dudes. He's a Marion icon.
Okay, since we're on camera.
And Tony's a great guy and a big time businessman. It's part of our chain crew. So there's all kinds of connections here. And thank you for being here, and thank you for all you do. We'll get to your role in more detail a little bit later. And by the way, Joni, I remember this, and you're going to think I forgot this. After RJ was done playing, you kept coming to our games. And that meant a lot to me. I would see you at Cahokia or some faraway place, and you would ride with Petro and Justin.
Oh, yeah.
And I said, that is loyalty to the program. And I remember that. I'm like, why is she still coming? Because a lot of times parents don't keep coming,
Right.
especially to road trips.
Right.
And you did.
I did.
Lay it on me. Okay. Now we come, last but not least, Tiffany Homoya. Tiff, tell us something about yourself.
Born and raised in Marion, graduated in '89. I have one daughter. She went through Marion, graduated in 2017. She had you in class as well. I started as a secretary out at Creel, the old school, went to Adams, the new school for 2 years, and then came to the high school in 2013. And that's where I got connected with everybody.
Yeah. Again,
Love it.
great,
Love my job.
great family, husband,
Yes.
daughter. She's very special to me as well.
Thank you.
You look for reciprocation. All of your kids gave back to me as a teacher. You know, I got to teach, but certain students give back, certain players. I think I counted 7 kids among you. I taught, 2 of them played for me, and you two as secretaries in the building took really good care of me. The most important people in a school are the secretaries,
Yes.
the custodians and maintenance
Yeah.
staff, the cooks.
Yeah.
They replaced me within a week of being gone, but if the secretary's missing,
Oh, yeah.
good luck with that.
Yeah.
The most important people in the building, and you guys were 2 of the best. And so thank you for all of that ahead of time. And so now we get to talk about this pink out thing. And so let's describe what it is. Back in 2010, there was an SIU player named Mike McElroy, and he was playing football for the Salukis, and he approached some people at the university and said, my high school in Lowell, Michigan did something that I want to do at SIU. And they said, well, what was it? And he said, my high school would have people sponsor a jersey, and they would wear it on game night with the name of a cancer victim or survivor or someone who's currently battling it, and they'll pay for that jersey. The player will wear it, and then when the game's over, they get to keep the jersey, and they'll pay a fee for it, and they'll raise money for people who need the money to battle cancer. And I know, just found this out yesterday, what he had to go through, and I made a list. He single-handedly got the permission from the AD, permission from the university, permission from the NCAA, which is very difficult. He worked on how to acquire the jerseys at a low price to gain a profit for the whole thing. His promotion process, he did much of it on his own. Mike McElroy is now a head football coach at a D3 school in Minnesota, very, very successful, and he needs to get credit because that's where I got the idea, because I knew of Mike, and Mike even ended up coaching at Marion for 2 years. I went to Mike Shornack and said, they called a blackout at SIU. Can we do this at Marion? And Mike Shornack was on board. And then we had to take that idea and then give it legs, and much of that fell upon you. And I know you there's others I want
You
you
can't tell the man no.
and there's others I want you to give credit for, because I know you were a huge part of that, Holly. But tell me how, from your perspective, how this kind of got started.
I don't believe in coincidences. And like I say, you had come up with that and approached Mike and got that going. And then my husband, Mike, works for the fire department. And our sweet friend, Marilyn, was battling breast cancer. and he wanted their fire department to start wearing pink and sell t-shirts for the month of October and fundraise and give that to her.
Right.
Somehow you and I got to talking about that.
Yeah.
And Coach Martin says, let's do it. Let's make it, that will be the official t-shirt
Yeah.
for our very first pink out game. You can sell the jerseys, we'll do that. And there it took off. I mean, it didn't seem like we had much of a time frame that very
It
first
felt
year.
fast, didn't
Yes,
it?
yes, yes.
Yeah.
But that's how it come together, and it was fast. You can't do anything without the help of your work family. We had Tonda Hulsman, Phyllis Basinger, Sweet Elaine Atwood,
Yeah.
that helped and got on board, and it just took off from there. Football parents were
Yes.
amazing. The
Yes.
kids were amazing. The community. It was a lot of work, but it went not effortless, but went very smoothly for it to be the very first year, I think.
Was there anything at the beginning that was the biggest challenge?
Not knowing what to look at, how to do it, what we do, what to try,
Yeah.
all those things, and making sure you got the word out. Because, we'd still hear from people after that first year, I didn't know about it.
Exactly.
If I had known
Yeah.
about it, I would have done this, I would have done that. So that was a challenge. So that next year, we made sure we hit I think that first year, though, we still got in the Southern and the Marion, but that next year, SIL came to the school, and I talked to them for a while, and it kind of took off on its own then, because people kind of started expecting it.
Yes.
Once you do it and you tell them it's going to be a thing we do, they start expecting it, they start looking for it. And so that, to me, was the biggest challenge. Just kind of getting the word out to everybody in the community so everybody could be a part of it and didn't feel left out.
This begins in 2011. So Mike began it at SIU with the blackout in 10. We jumped on board in 11. And so we start that process. And then you did it for?
Till 2014.
Okay, 2014. And so, Tiffany, you came on board at the school in
2013.
And so there's a bit of a passing of the torch.
Yes.
And then Joni, when did you come on board?
2015.
Okay, so it kind of, there's kind of the stair step. For the rest of you, now that it's going, what challenges came up, either one of you came up for you as far as it's growing? What became the challenges for you as each year came about? Expectations are pretty high because we jumped right out of the gate and we started raising money.
Yes.
Yeah, so what became the new challenges after the start?
What more can we do? What can we have? We did 50-50. We did raffle items. We cooked, the meal. Where can we get just a flat donation from whoever?
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, this community,
Amazing.
it is amazing. They just, when they see me coming, they know what's going on.
Pink out time.
Or
Yeah, they do. Or they get a text for me. It's like, we're in. And it's just.
See, and you're good at that, asking. I'm not good at asking. So you come along right at the perfect time because you're good at
Yeah.
going out and I was not. That's not one of my strong
Yeah.
points.
Me either. And she is.
One
Yeah,
of
she
my
is good at it.
Marty knows everyone. We can't go anywhere without him saying, "Oh, there's Mr. Man," but he knows everyone, so that's a good thing, especially in this. And I'm even thinking about next year who could, I'm going to go to talk to this person and this person and this person, and we're going to have more money. So it's just, what can we do each year to? I think the biggest, and it's not a nightmare. But getting the jerseys,
Yeah.
getting each of those kids
Yeah.
covered, because there will not be a year where one of those kids has a blank.
That's
on his
right.
banner.
That's right.
So,
And so people understand that a person contacts you and says, I want to sponsor a jersey.
yes,
And so they get to put on the back of that jersey the name of someone near and dear to them. It could be a family member, a
Right.
friend, or whoever that
Right.
is either battled cancer, victim of whatever.
correct.
And so that goes on the back of the jersey. And then when the game's over, of course, we'll talk about that process of getting the jersey. So we've never had an issue of covering the whole team
No.
in those jerseys.
Even in the last few days, there was this year, there were 7 or 8 jerseys that needed to be covered. And I got hacked on my Facebook account, so I couldn't
Yeah.
get on there. and post that. So Ryan posted it, Tiffany posted it,
Yeah.
and they give my number. And within like 5 minutes, I had 3 people text me, I'll sponsor one. I'll sponsor one.
Yeah.
I mean, and within the day, we had them all sponsored.
And one of my favorite things is that we have had a situation where we covered the team. We had to dress every JV player.
Yes.
We had to dress the freshman team.
Right.
We had to put the cheerleaders.
Yes.
We covered our film crew one year.
Yeah.
We had to give jerseys. She made me wear one.
Right.
Right?
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I'm wearing a jersey one year.
Yeah.
And
That's a good problem to have.
yeah, it's a great
Running out
thing,
of
and
people, so
it's a
we're the-
blessing. I mean,
Yeah.
so we have all these people, all these players covered, but they keep saying, well, put them on the cheerleader. I mean, so we had the
Right.
sideline just covered in
Officials.
in pink jerseys. Yeah.
That's a good idea.
But it just shows that those are special things when you've got this overflow and you want to cover the team. That's the goal, but then you need all these extras and you need to dress this many more players, and so it has been really great. So and we need to give a shout out to Lee's Sports. I
Yes.
think since 2011 all the way
Yes.
to 2024,
Right.
Lee's Sports has been sponsoring that, getting us that jersey at a fair
Yeah.
price,
Right.
right?
Yes.
So that we can get a good profit off of each one and raise money. I do want to mention, I think we touched on it a little bit. I love the fact there's been a ripple effect, not only at the high school where other sports are doing
Right.
their version of Pink Out, which I think is awesome.
Mhm.
But we see it in other communities. I can't sit here and say they do it because we did it, because I don't know. But I think some of them probably have. And I think the fact that it's spread and it's been good for a lot of people is pretty awesome. And I think we all agree that it's been really special here. We know that for sure because we're involved. I want to go to Kristi because, as I said before, I didn't know. I knew you were involved, but I didn't know all the things. So explain your role in this process, because these three have been out in front of it. You're not so much. So what is your role?
I've always worked in the elementaries, and I have recently started working at the junior high in the last 15 years. And so I worked with some of the people who've been affected. It was Marilyn in the beginning.
Yeah.
And then, Kyla and Tracy Nicholson, all of those ladies worked with me. And so it was that first year, I think it was 2012 maybe, when I started helping. And I would just collect the money from the elementaries would do it, and Adams and the junior high. So students just wear $1 and dress up in all the pink they want. And it's amazing how those $1 donations add up to a significant amount that makes a difference.
Yes. I drove by the junior high on Pink Out Day this year,
Yeah.
and they happened to be on the field and around the track, and it was a sea of pink.
It was-
And I
It makes
thought,
me
and
happy
it was game day at the high school,
Yeah.
but what I saw was a sea of pink, so everybody was invested. So we talk about that ripple effect. It's affected the schools, it's affected the community, and so I need to talk. Thank you for sharing that, and you have been a big part of that connection of getting those schools involved and raising money there, and that just makes it even more special. So we talked about other ways, baskets that are sponsored. You talked about the T-shirts raise money. We cook food. How do we choose? Can you explain to the people listening and watching the recipients? So we raise this money, and we're going to talk now about what do we do with it. So we've raised in excess. We figured, what was the average?
263. Well, it was 18 to 20,000 per year.
We're raising 18 to 20,000 per year. We think we've raised close to $260,000 total since
Right.
2011.
Right.
I had no idea it was even going to be that high until we researched this, which is praise the Lord for that. But let's talk about the recipients. At halftime of the game, there are certain people that are presented with a check from the money raised. Let's talk about how that process is. What is the process for that?
Go ahead.
She's
gonna
gonna
pass
talk.
it up
Yeah,
here.
she's gonna talk.
Any Marion Unit 2 employee or student that is battling cancer will get a portion of that. Half, like say we raise 18,000, so 9,000 would be split for if there were 2 recipients, they would each get 4,500.
Right.
Do my math. And then the other half goes to it's called the Mike Shornack Fund. That was set up in 2015 before he passed away.
Right.
Mike was such a integral part of the athletic department. He was the athletic director.
And loved Pink Out.
And loved Pink Out. Yes. He didn't like, though, when he was one of the recipients.
Yeah.
He did not like that at all. But he did it. And he wasn't receptive initially to the Mike Shornack Fund.
Only because it had his name on it.
Right.
Right, yeah.
But, and even going back, his father, I don't know the history, Frank Shornack was a coach
He was.
in this district. And Marty tells stories about Frank, which is funny to me. But I remember distinctly going to Mike's house with Marty and telling him we were starting this fund. So this fund is for any student, athlete that needs equipment, be it shoes, socks, golf clubs. We bought a pole vault pole for the junior high one year.
Yeah.
Braces, anything they need is what we get. Or equipment, like if the football team needs, I don't know what they need, but if you need something, that's what it's there for. And then we started doing scholarship. Now we're now doing 4 $500 scholarships.
2 boys and 2 girls, they each get $500.
So that's been added. So it's just been a great.
And so, Mike being Mr. Wildcat, it's nice to be able to continue the Pink Out each and every year, but his name is still connected year after year with it. And it's really cool, and I appreciate all of that. And I know Mike didn't want his name, but that's too bad because Mike deserved it. So
He did deserve it.
He did. And so, on average, you said around 18 to 20,000 a year.
This year we were over 21, and there had been I think 24 one year maybe.
Yeah, one year we were right at 24, maybe a little bit over.
So I'll start with Kristi, and I'll ask your favorite part of this whole process. And if it's the same thing, that's great. But do you have a favorite part of the process of the night? What is it that stands out in your mind?
And I always say this when I share it every year. Whenever people come, just know that jersey, the name on the back is someone's number one. The number might not be, but that is someone's number one. And to see the people after the game and just to see them connect with the players. And the players are sometimes uncomfortable because they don't know quite what to do because people are emotional. But it is, I think that's the special moment for me, just to see them interact at the end.
So we line the players up by number from goal line to wherever it ends, and then the families can find the number and they stand in front of the player, and the player takes the jersey off. Yes, sweaty and stinky a little bit.
I've got one in my office right now that is stinking.
And that night, the cool thing is, Kristi, nobody cares if it stinks, it's sweaty. There is a lot of emotion that takes place in that little exchange right there. And you're right, sometimes the players, high school kids, a little uncomfortable. They don't know the family, and when the family gets emotional. But there is something about that jersey exchange that is extremely special. And we did our best to tell the kids ahead of time what to expect. There's gonna be emotion. Now, sometimes the players are wearing their own mom or dad's jersey or sibling or grandparent, and then the emotion is mutual. But it can vary from person to person across there. But it's a good thing to watch that happen and see our kids have a chance to see something and experience something bigger than the game they just played. Because we can all make a big deal out of the game and the outcome. But that's a moment where the outcome, all of a sudden, win or lose, isn't very important. That is a special moment right there. Joni, how about for you?
I think for me, it's when we take those checks out on the field and you get the perspective of those people in the stands, and it's a sea of pink.
Yeah.
I'll never get through it.
That's okay. Yeah. And sometimes in the stands, you can't get that.
No,
So-
you don't see that. And then I think it's overwhelming for the opposite team because it's the band, the dancers, the cheerleaders, everyone on the sidelines, and then all the way up into the stands. And maybe they're not wearing a pink shirt that we sold, but they're wearing a pink something pink.
Right.
And that it's just overwhelming.
Yeah. We used to do our halftime talk, and like they extended halftime usually to 20 minutes instead of 15. And we loved that little extra time. We could bring the players out because we wanted them to see.
Yes.
And again, this is the 1 week we used to tell the players, this, as you said, every name on the back of those jerseys is someone so special. And you have to understand that you may not know who that is, but to that family, to that individual, it's a big deal. And I think I want our players to see the people who are fighting a fight far greater than the game we're fighting on the field, receive those checks. They're in a battle, sometimes a battle for their lives, and they are receiving a check that's going to help ease the burden maybe they're feeling, some of that anxiety, bills to pay, and not only that, but just the fact the community has said, we got your back.
Yeah.
That's a
Every
big deal.
year.
That's a big deal.
I will say this. I don't remember who the kid was, but he was wearing Mr. Shornack's name. And he researched it. I think he went to Marty's room. And who was that? Oh,
Was it last year or year before?
I think it was a couple years ago.
I can't remember who it was either, but it was amazing.
Toxie. Was it Toxie Road?
It could have been.
But anyway, yeah, he researched and he knew about Mike Shornack and he was so proud to wear that jersey.
That's awesome.
He
Yeah.
was.
That's
And I
really
think
good.
Colin was there that night.
Yeah, that's really cool.
And
Yeah.
it was just amazing.
That's special. Yeah. How about for you?
I love knowing the story behind the name.
Mhm.
That was by far one of my most favorite things. Getting to talk to the family members. Some you thought you knew, some you didn't know at all, but they would come in, or you talk to them on the phone. And of course, I'm a question asker.
Yeah.
So once you start with me,
Yeah.
I'm going to ask. And I absolutely loved getting to know the story behind the name on the jersey.
Yeah.
So that was far. And then we used to get so excited on Fridays when Kristi would bring the money from the grade schools. That was just, and I don't think anything prepares you for the first time you see your loved one's name on a
It
jersey.
No.
It is
It
not.
does not. And then seeing your own name on a jersey. They had a high school student that didn't tell me that they were going to do that. And when I saw my name out there, you don't
And
you don't expect that.
You
So,
are a cancer
I
survivor,
am.
and your name was on the field.
Yep.
And
My dad's name, we've had his
Yep.
name, my aunt's, but that you nothing prepares you, I don't think, for seeing their names out there.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
And I was in.
Oh, look at the tackle Jimmy Stewart made.
By the way, Dad,
Yeah.
I remember. I remember in full coach mode, middle of the game, and Jawan Tucker splits out wide to our sideline, and his jersey says "Just B. Martin Jr." It's my dad.
Oh,
I'm like,
yeah.
It was cool.
Yeah.
And so I went full coach mode to no coach mode just for a moment. Pull yourself together, and then start coaching again. But yeah, just to see my dad's name stretched across the back of his jersey was
It is.
a cool
It's amazing.
moment.
And no matter how many years when you see the names, you're just,
Yeah.
And I'll just say one thing. Some people think, well, what happened to these jerseys? Some people save them. I had one family that told me that their recipient they knew for the fight of their life, and that when he passed, he wanted his pink out jersey buried with him.
Of course.
And so they did that.
Yeah,
They
right.
buried his jersey with him.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so there's
Very good.
one thing they did with
Yeah,
that
that's
jersey.
cool. Tiff?
I think whenever you are out on the field and you see those families receive those checks, and to know that this community, and a lot of the community may not even know the families that are on the field.
That's right.
Receiving the checks, but yet they still support them, and I think it's overwhelming whenever
It really
the
is.
families all gather and you present that check to them. It's awesome
Yeah,
to
it
know that
really
you're helping
is.
them out.
Yeah. I think over time, because players start their freshman year and they go through their senior year, I think over time they develop an understanding of this is very, very important to someone. And you're representing that family tonight, not just you. And the big thing I put on my notes here was there's one thing you do not want to happen in this game, and that's to get a personal foul, unsportsmanlike conduct. Not tonight, you know.
I kind of expect that out of my dad.
Don't get kicked out of the game, you know, when you're wearing this, because it is a big deal. And I think we had my father's name, my mom's name, we had Tracy's dad's name, and then I had a childhood friend named Philip Robertson who passed away from leukemia when I was in junior high. He was a really good friend of mine, and he was a great athlete. I always often say this. I became the quarterback at Salem High School my senior year, and if Philip had lived, I would have never played quarterback because he was the quarterback in our class, and he passed away from leukemia. And so Philip was on the field, you know, one day, and it was kind of a throwback for me back to my childhood, someone, not my family, but a good friend. And so he was a part of that. And I know I sent a video to Ross, and he's going to, I think, it kind of included about this time when I talk about this. But my last year as head coach, I was in the gym, and I am so thankful for this moment. I was in the gym, and I received the jerseys, and it was time to give them to the players. And so I laid them out by number on the floor, and I got to think about each name individually as I laid the jersey down and folded it over. And then I took a video of it, and I called it Hallowed Ground. You know, it was in that moment right there in the corner of Wilson Gym, there was just a sea of blue jerseys with pink letters on them. And it was pretty special to me to have that, just me and just those jerseys, and an appreciation of what I have faced in my family, you have faced personally, but hasn't everybody
Everybody's
faced
been affected by it.
something
Everybody has been
involved
affected.
with cancer? So,
And Coach Martin, I would
Yeah.
say too, and I know it's feeling from all of us, you and your coaching staff have done a marvelous job of putting the importance of that night into your boys and letting them know, hey,
Yeah.
this is life, and this is what you've done. You can see it, they might be a little nervous, but you can see it in their smiles. You can see it in the way they carry themselves, you know, when they have
I think
those
so.
jerseys on.
Thank
and
you.
But you and your coaches have always done an outstanding job.
well, and I think sadly it's gotten easier to do because even so many of our players have had families that have been through this. And so I think, yeah, but I appreciate that. And we try to make sure they understand the importance of this in that moment. And yeah, as I said, it's sad we need to do this, but the reality is sometimes in these moments when things are the worst for someone, what they're going through, it brings out the best in people.
Yeah.
And I think you four are an example of that, of your sacrificial efforts to make this happen, because having the idea is the easy part. What you all have done over the last 20 plus years now is the hard part, the leg work, the behind the scenes work. And I have been able to propose it, but then sit back and do my job as a coach, and you all do the hard stuff. And you have blessed so many people, not just in the recipients of the checks, but I think it's impacted our players. It's impacted our community. I think it's pulled a lot of people together. And as you said, there is no way we can stop doing this now. Real briefly, what happens if there isn't a recipient, if there is no one in the district that maybe is going through that? What's the plan B? That's a blessing. Thank the Lord we didn't have anybody, but what do you do next?
Well, one year I was looking back at 2019, we actually gave a donation to the American Cancer Society.
Yes.
And then Lexi was involved in
Yes.
that too. But this year was that we had a recipient and he passed away, Jameer.
Right.
So we wait till the last minute. We go through the schools, we send out the emails. Do you have anybody? Nobody. But we had 2 kids on the football team. One's mother is battling breast cancer, and then one's dad is going through bone marrow leukemia. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but he's not in a good way. But anyway, so we made an executive decision this year that those families needed that money more than, it was just the right thing to do.
Yeah.
And I will say that the parent meeting, they all see me in there and they're like, oh gosh, what do you want? But Angie was the first person my eyes were drawn to. She was in the front row, and she had a handkerchief around her head, and her shirt was and I could see the port, and I'm like, okay, we
Yeah.
gotta do something.
Yeah.
So we were gonna do something anyway, I don't know, it was just, we were gonna designate one of the baskets or two of the baskets for her. But I actually delivered to her the news that she was gonna be a recipient personally, because I was on my way to Goreville and she works at Troops. So I walk in there and she's behind the desk, she goes, what are you doing here? What are you doing here? I said, well, you're gonna be a recipient.
Yeah.
Oh, no. I'm like, yeah, you are.
Yeah.
So she had, the kids came out on the field this year.
It was awesome to see, talking about the teams and instilling that in the teams, when it was time this year, the team and the way that they
Yes.
supported, not
The
only
kids,
everyone,
yeah.
the kids supported each other, like,
Absolutely.
you know, her kids and.
Right,
and
yes,
the
there were,
Jacobs
what,
boys.
4 or 5 kids that walked out with her onto the field.
Yeah.
Not her kids.
Yeah.
She called them her adopted kids. And I will say this, it was the funniest thing. She was crying and she turned around and looked at me and she goes, oh my gosh, I thought I was only gonna get $100. I
Oh, wow.
said,
Yeah.
girl, I said, we go big or we go home around
Yeah.
here. I said, we don't play that game.
Let's go waltz.
Well,
She was overwhelming
Yeah.
for her.
it is overwhelming sometimes for those recipients to be honored like that in front of the crowd, and then they get to see the sea of pink that's there to
Right.
support them. And I, as I said, I want to thank all of you. You not only have you all been important parts of this process, the pink out. When when I think about your roles in my life and how you loved on not just your own kids, but you loved on so many kids at that school, like second moms to a lot of kids, and raising some kids that needed to be raised when other parents were absent. You were all doing stuff like that, and it's no mystery that, wow, wonder how they got involved in Pink Out. You're special, and I'm glad we have this opportunity to explain Pink Out, to maybe encourage people to be a part of next year's. If this helps get the word out. Tracy and I want to be included in whatever way we can serve now that I'm out of the coaching profession. If we can be of help, you know who to call, and we would be honored to be a part of it.
Joni won't forget that.
Yeah, I know she will.
Man, it's on tape.
Yeah. But the tradition now, a lot of great traditions at Marion High School, but this may be becoming the best one of all because it's impacting real people in a real life manner, not just winning a few games here and there, but it's life changing. And thank all of you for all you do.
Thank you.
And again, we want to thank you for watching again. Season 2 begins. We got a great lineup of coaches coming in, and some great people like you're going to love to hear from. I want to thank Swinford Media, Crown Brew, the guys at Adrenaline, and thank you for tuning in and being so loyal and supportive and encouraging to me as I go through this process. I look forward to my podcast days, and what a great way to start with 4 of my favorite people in the whole world. So thank you all very much.